let's see here. Like, what if the speed of light was variable, right? And it's like, yeah, right. So, wavelength, right? Or, well, we're in this solar system. Are you near a black hole? How close? Space and time got compressed. Well, is this a theoretical model where it happens to get closer and this space got shorter, right? Right? But it's like, how much? Do we know? What about the gravitational wave influence of another body of mass or any of that, right? And it's like, do we know? Can we calculate, like, if it was actually supposed to be, and then is it separated? It should be the same thing, right? But like, okay, but that's space and time, not a photon, right? But they're attached. I end up getting, in a situation in my head where it's like, we have fuck all of a clue. But for all of our intents and purposes for math, we're just going to say it was compressed and it got blue shifted and so on. And because that's seriously easier in all ways, because we don't really have observations that allow for us to really kind of know that exact thing, right? And since we know that it's variable, thanks to space and time now with gravitational waves, changing that over distances from small to very large, astrophysically, wise, right? It then turns into it is variable in that aspect. Is that a cop out? Is that a technicality? We don't know. We do. We say it is. We do say, right? We say that it's not variable and it's constant, right? We say that. But like, it's clear from our relative perspective, this special relativity, it's not. There's no such thing as a constant speed of light. There's never been. It all depends on the medium it travels through, and it's given mass and interactivity and interference patterns of that, right? So, which can slow it down. We've even captured shock waves of light in given material. So you know what I mean? And it's like we say it's constant, but we have fuck all of a clue. We don't know. And that's the reason that it's like, well, the real truthful answer is the thing is not constant. Light is not constant. But we don't say that. We don't say that. We say everything else changes its constant speed. That's what we say. But in reality, it's like, no. It's changing its speed. The world, the universe, is a mishmash of shit, right? So, and then there's the fact that it's traveling fast or slow, right? Fast or slow. Accelerating, decelerating relative to its position as it travels, because there's no real time, even though for us, of course, there's a given delta of distance to us, right? Which is a delta distance. Why? Because it's like it doesn't have time. You have to remember that. Like, it has no time stopped for it, for a photon. That's what that is. Time stopped. But that's not how we view it. Of course, if it's traveling, so of course there's time there, right? We can measure a time of observing it move. But like, that's not how physics works, right? Like, it has no time. Photons don't have time. So it's a very weird concept, light, because it's clearly moving. It clearly takes its time to do something. It clearly has a speed limit, but that's because it's in a medium that's around. So then what's the speed limit really, truthfully, with nothing around? And the answer is, we have no fucking clue. We can estimate. That's it. That's literally the math. We can estimate based upon, you remove gravitational influence, you remove the acceleration of us, this, that, and everything else. You remove compression, you remove any of it. What is light's real speed? And we go, no, it's this that we've measured. And it's like, no, that's a bad measurement. You didn't account for any of these variables. These variables are shit. Everything inside of our solar system affects that. We're moving again around the sun, and then we have other things moving. And then our galaxy is moving, which means it started at this given speed at first, and then relative to us, right? And that means we literally don't know what the real constant of light is. This is the reason why it's posited by people that are a little bit smarter than the average people that watch a video like that. It's like, no, I don't know if you know this, but we literally don't know these things. I know that sounds like shit, right? But you're stupid. Like, you're actually dumb. Because, to be fair, you just didn't know about that. It's the equivalent of, yeah, no, I can call a kid dumb. You know what I mean? Like, a kid's dumb on a lot of things, right? Doesn't make them bad. Doesn't make them a bad kid. It just means they're dumb. You know what I mean? They're not stupid, right? Like, stupid is like, no, they literally can't figure things out. They're just dumb. Like, smart and intelligence. Like, intelligence, like, you know, you can brute force, you can work things out. And then there's smart. Memory. You know what I mean? We're talking memory. They've got a lot of memory, right? Or a given set of knowledge in a given field or whatever it is, right? Expertise, right? It's like they're smart on that. But otherwise, they might not be super intelligent. But that doesn't change that they're smart. Same thing with dumb. Dumb does not equal bad. It can equal bad because it can be intentional. You know, like you just won't look something up because, like, right? But it's like, you're just dumb. Like, you don't have the knowledge. And so it's like, no. The vast majority of people that will watch a video like that or something on YouTube don't know anything about that. They don't know anything about the fact that space and time, like near a black hole, literally in a given field of influence for its gravity, changes. It gets smaller. You know what I mean? Like, it actually gets compressed, even though we won't view it that way. But the actual space and time should be larger, but because there's gravity there, of course, it's shrunk, right? So it's compressed, but we don't think about it like that. In a regular, I'm going to look at it and I challenge you. But in reality, it's like, yeah, no, that's exactly what that is. You stupid, kind of, a little bit. No, but it's okay. Like, now here's the knowledge that changes that. Are you going to continue being stupid, or are you going to change? Because it's like, there's dumb, right? And then it's like, no. You went about it with knowledge already, and then tried to mangle the true physics that we observe, that we all are pretty much on board with, into becoming, it's this now. None of that's a thing going on. And it's like, your degree in this is what now? You know? What is it? Because you'll listen to like a bachelor, master's, PhD, whatever, who knows that shit and will think like that, because they understand that that's genuinely a multitude of encompassing things that go into that one thing. And then it's like, no, I'm a nerd on the online. I know all the things. I got him, right? And it's like, God, you're a stupid person. Like, you have knowledge, but you just didn't see that scope, which is why people tend to go through school for that. And then, you know, I sit around and do a lot of thinking because there's not much else I can do. Right? And so it's like, oh, yeah, no, that makes sense. And then this would be, and then, oh, fuck. We must not know really what the true actual, like, constant value of light is. Like, it might genuinely be variable. It might honestly slow down over a given period of time. It's always picking up energy if it's in space. Like, there's no way it's not. There's neutrons, there's fields, there's gravity, which is a field in its own right, but, like, you know what I mean? It's always picking up something. So we have no idea if it decays faster or slower. We have no idea if it slows down, and we have no idea if it starts bleeding off its energy from a higher wavelength to a lower wavelength, or as it tries to slow down. If it was radio wave, it would start trying to change its wavelength, right, to a higher one. We don't really know because there's no real way to measure it. You know what I mean? Like light can travel really fast for really long distances, and there's essentially no way to get rid of gravity, electromagnetic, nuclear, little virtual quantum vacuum pressure, noise stuff, and all the fields that might come along with all of it, depending on how denoised you start getting. We don't know what that really is. And the answer, unfortunately, then becomes complicated. Okay, because then a bunch of scientists, well, with our best models and observation, and it's like, yeah, no, okay, but cool. But the answer is no. The answer is we don't know. The answer is, truthfully, the complex, real answer is we don't know, and it depends. It depends on what it is that we're talking about for any given area, situation, and context as to what that's going to be. That is the real complicated, it depends answer. Light might be variable. It might not be. We have fuck all of a clue. But we're like, no, all of our best guess observations that are heavily influenced in noise and in their data and cannot in any way really be denoised that significantly suggest that it's not. Well, in our local solar system area of gravitational influence constants that has not gone past an observation point of outside of a given field of gravitational mass influence. And, of course, velocity, thanks to its orbit around a supermassive black hole, and all the rest of it that goes along with that. But talk to an astrophysicist, and they'll be like, yep. Talk to a random layperson online, and they'll challenge you. Because they'll be like, well, the thing says this. But it's like, well, the thing is... Because a lot of people effectively agreed that there's no real way to measure this. And we're all just trying our best. So, could you not just throw it in our faces that we have to defend, this fucking thing that we all know for a fact is a best guess, and you might end up saying you don't know something and not give us the money to be able to build the stuff that we need to observe more and get more accurate observations and experimental data. You know what I mean? Because that's the kind of people they are. It's like they're the ones that hold the money and that we have to schmooze to, and then and then eventually you get funding and people on your side to eventually build and make something. And then you can get published and become more legitimate and credible. Right? That's how the system works. And so every time I end up getting frustrated because it's like, yeah, we're going to poke into this unfortunately not so great part of the science here in the physics of observation, because science is and experimental data is literally just scientific method as best we can do. That's all that's going to be. And then after a long time, it's the dicks of the world, that'll go like, you don't know anything, and so why should we trust you? And it's like, no, we definitely observe a lot of this to be consistent, for sure, and these are the ways that we went about it, and it's pretty darn accurate. And shut up, shut your fucking face, shut your face, shut your face, shut your face. They're already teasing, you don't know anything, you're already trying to make excuses. I fucking hate this. What is this, my fucking family? When I'm sitting at the damn table trying to go over some shit I did. Oh, but you didn't do this and this. It took fucking 12 hours to do this today. Screw you, Dad, Mom, sister, brother, fuck you. Meanwhile, no, you're right, yeah. Well, I mean, with this, and then that, and then, and then we could maybe, and then toss about this amount of money, and would you be willing to? So that way we could maybe get that figured out for you to feel a little more comfortable with our results, right? You know what I mean? And that's all you've got. You know what I mean? Like, you can't do anything because once you become an adult, it's like this is exactly kind of what this is, but then at the same time, like you have to defend this, and you don't want to have to deal with it. So there you go. And it comes down to, is light variable? The answer is complicated. It depends. The true answer is, unfortunately, we don't actually fully know, but we say we do. And also, it depends on what in the fuck it is that you're going to describe for the situation and variables involved in whatever that context is for light, okay, that you're trying to observe and ultimately try and say yay or nay about that thing going on. That's what that is. Because like a black hole, it's like no, it's changing. You know, it's blue shifting, and it's like right, yeah. But do you know what the given like true change and interference patterns might be there? You know, in terms of space time, but also other light, right? Like we know a blue shift no matter what, right? But it's like that's not speeding it up. But it, in our relative view, looks sort of like it traveled faster. But that it really just means it blue shifted, right? It's like we just say it blue shifts. It's staying the same, but it's like but it traveled a shorter distance, which gained it a given type of medium. Like let's say it was that whatever glass that we saw the photon shockwave, right? But it's like it's traveling now slower through that glass, right? But we don't see it change its wavelength, right? But it's like, right, space-time is a different medium, right? So it then turns into like that fucking stupid argument that people like us have of like, well, what semantic details that we need to be very pedantic in how it is we describe this and then write the math out do we need to agree upon? Because it's like we're shortening that. So it clearly sped up. But not really. Because its relative view, it stayed, if we're correct, the same speed. It stayed the same. At least in terms of we're in a universe. And we have these observations that suggest this. But we have fuck all of a clue if you removed all that and just had a photon there, what it really would mean. You know what I mean? Like, we have no idea. And there's no real way to test that. So it shortened, it didn't really speed up. But for our relative point of reference, it looked similar to it did. Right? But it's not, of course. And then, of course, just because it's kind of like gravitational lensing slingshot, speeding up in that sense, we get a blue shift. Right? But then, of course, it's going to drag as it goes away, and there's still gravity influences, and we're still going away, and so there's a given amount of red shifting beyond the initial blue shift. Right? It's not going to suddenly have burn to keep it going faster or at that blue shift level. Right? So we go with it blue shifted only because we wouldn't know the distance. We wouldn't know anything. And then it gets into semantic detailing of if space and time is compressed. And we're going through that. And our relative point of reference and perspective towards it is different in such a way that we're unable to measure anything, right, like that. We can't directly or even indirectly really kind of measure that, at least currently, in such a way that we would know if it slows down or speeds up over any given kind of distance. there's no real way to know, because of course we're in the space-time and we're influenced by it, which becomes rougher and rougher the more you have to think about given distances traveled, influences, interferences, and changes of outright distances in our relative perspective growing in terms of distance and acceleration. It just becomes more and more difficult for all of us to go, well, it stayed the same. We don't, you know what I mean? We might have sped up. We might have slowed down the same amount. We might have compressed the same distance. We might have so many things. And so we'll go, relative to this noise possibility of quantum probability, statistical models, and quantum mechanics here, for the standards that we can basically bullshit ourselves into believing that we know as much as we can possibly know and everything's good, and orders of magnitude we're for sure something, that this probably is what it is. This is probably what this is. This is it. If we're gonna go with, did it work? It's more. There's a slight. This one we don't know why it did that, but most of it covers it. Okay. It covers most. Shut up over there. Don't laugh. You audience. You. Shut your face holes. I'm thinking. I don't know. Hopefully. Okay, like, it most of the time does this. Most of the time. Maybe it just tunneled further. I don't know. I don't know. What do you want from me? It's the same speed that we're observing. You couldn't have traveled that fast. Okay, sure, man, but I mean, the light should have been a lower frequency for sure. If it got to us like that wavelength. And if it came from, man, I don't. Why do you fucking, god damn it. What do you want from me? It's hard to know that. Like, it could have been from another, just interfered somehow. Maybe it has like some wave, what is that? Causal set theory. Like plug of information, like photonic information that's in front, and then it interfered with something that was around, and then it tunneled the same thing, and then we got a double. And it just confirmed or something? I don't know. Man. I'm over this. Stop asking. It's constant enough, I guess, maybe. I don't. Fuck off. Maybe there's a lot more gravity or whatever, in the beginning. There's more energy. Maybe that changed it? I don't know. You ask a lot of questions here. Maybe you can provide some answers. Can you think with us, please? I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. I'd like to know. I'd like to know just a smidge, okay? Mr. Whatever you are, know-it-all, apparently. Defensive, yeah, a little, okay? Just a smidge. It's difficult to know. And, that's the thing. It's like, look, when you really talk to people like us that kind of, think about that stuff, it's like then all of a sudden you realize it's like, we're just normal people. We don't really fully know. But when you have to go up in front of someone and there's cameras or whatever, like you have to go, yes, no, so, and blah, 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 and present and look at the thing and, oh, yes. But in reality is that you behind that, mirage and smoke magic mirrors presentation. The answer is like, we see this pretty often, but we definitely can't do that. So we don't know that deep, but we know like this deep, and that's where we're at. And this might explain some things, but it didn't explain everything. It certainly doesn't explain these other issues that we're seeing that are going on there. And we're all trying to come up with a puzzle piece that makes that explained. That's the best we've got. That's my parents' dog over there. Apparently just wheezes because of their allergies, even though they already have the medication. Anyways, I'm at my parents' house because I have to go do yard work to see if I can get some money towards insurance when I eventually find a camper van. But it popped up in my YouTube feed, and so I was like, "Is light variable?" That's a pretty, unfortunately, easy thing to answer. We don't know. It could be, and it depends. And that's basically it. Even if like a long-winded bullshitty answer could be a bunch of bullshit of observations and whatever, because you have to defend whatever it is. But like the real actual answer is super fast and simple, but then you have to describe why that is the case to a bunch of people that often don't know. And then usually you end up looking foolish to people that think that you're really smart and you should have all these answers, but in reality that's not really how things are or work. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, bye, like, subscribe, and all that for sharing and bells and stuff.